Welcome to 28.5 Women's Basketball, where we explore a unique and authentic perspective on the women's game, break down upcoming matchups, and discuss the latest news and trends in women's basketball. We are your hosts. I'm Sydney Story, and I played basketball at the University of Tennessee under Pat Summitt.
And I'm Becca Goodman, and I played at the University of Notre Dame under Muffet McGraw. And we're thrilled to have you join us today. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoy what you hear, be sure to tune in each week and don't forget to follow, download, and listen to give an assist and share the love. Now let's get started with today's episode.
Hey, Beck, what's up?
Hello, Sid. Can you believe we were in Final Four week? Can you believe it?
I can't believe it. That first week of April, the whole month of March, like you're looking forward to it at the beginning part of March, and then March Madness rolls around and it just flies by. So it's definitely an exciting time. Final Four, here we come.
I can't believe it. Well, here you definitely come. So we'll talk about that later, which I'm very excited about. I would have been going if a certain team would have made it, but rightfully so. They did what they could, and that was it. But I just think this is a crazy exciting time. Obviously, we'll talk about some seeds that made it there by their own right and because they were the dominant force. And we've kind of talked about that all season long. Is there was a different caliber with the 1 through 4s that were ranked all season long. And I just think that really showed true here. We had a couple upsets, though. A couple ones that surprised us. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll jump in. So first quarter, we're going to talk about that Sweet 16. Only 2 teams with some sweet upsets there. Second quarter, we have the Elite 8. We're going to highlight business being handled in those Elite 8 games. Third quarter, we have a Final Four preview. And then the fourth quarter, we're going to talk about the Final Four experience and just freestyle a bit. So a packed episode, 4 full quarters. Here we come.
Let's rock it. So that first quarter, I know the Sweet 16 seems like forever ago because so much has happened since then, but I feel like we have to rightfully give certain teams their flowers, right? So we're going to just run through what happened, and then we'll go back and dig into any games that kind of make sense to us. So first and foremost, I'd like to celebrate and announce the upset that the number 6 Notre Dame was able to beat the number 2 Vandy 67-64. Awesome game. We'll come back to that. I don't doubt it. Number 1 UConn beat number 4 North Carolina 63-42. Number 1 UCLA beat the number 4 Minnesota 80-56. Another upset. The number 2 LSU lost to the number 3 Duke 85-87. Number 2 Michigan beat number 3 Louisville 71-52. The number 1 Texas kept it rolling by beating number 5 Kentucky 76-54. And in our last region, obviously, the number 1 South Carolina kept rolling and beat the number 4 Oklahoma 94-68. And number 3 TCU was able to beat number 10 Virginia 79-69. And that game was a lot closer than that score shows. But all in all, those were the Sweet 16 wins and losses and upsets. Where do we want to go, Sid?
Well, I think it's only fair that we start with the Notre Dame upset because it was just such a good game. I want you to kick it off, though. This is your alma mater. You played at Notre Dame. Like, what were your thoughts on that game overall? Heading in, during the game, and then obviously the final result.
So do you remember when we recorded last episode, we kind of were like, what if it's an upset? Go Irish. Why not? We're here. Let's do it. I really feel going into that game, just seeing all of Notre Dame's prep and their videos and kind of, the media circus that you do ahead of time. I felt they were very grounded. I didn't feel there was any like nerves or anxiety. It was exactly like, we're here. Let's see what happens. And for the first time, I really felt like this team hit their peak potential. Obviously, it happened earlier in the first couple rounds, but to be able to play Vandy, who at the time was coming in as a 2 seed and their record being 29-4, kind of dominating all season long. They were right outside being a top 1 seed if they hadn't lost to Texas. So like there's that's a lot, and that's a lot of hype, and Michaela Blake's is amazing and Galveston. So I wasn't really sure come game time what Notre Dame team would show up and show out on the court. Because here's the thing. You can have all the prep in the world. You can know the scouting report. You can have them do a damn test. But when you get on the court, if you're not able to, after every possession, bring it, understand it, and execute it, it's way different. But man, did Notre Dame do that. I mean, Hannah dictated the whole flow of this game by being an absolute menace on defense. When would we ever say that Vanderbilt had 23 turnovers? And I think she broke the steals record for a single season, but with 199 in the first half. With like 7. I just think she put this team on her back, set the tone, dictated what was supposed to happen, and her team actually, everyone bought in, did their role, followed through, and it was amazing. I mean, obviously, Hannah having 31 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. Like this stat line was crazy. She was flirting with a quadruple double the whole game, but she didn't even know it. I think that's the best part. I just think Hannah led this team, and that just goes to show you how one person can impact a game on the offensive side and the defensive side. And your team, if they buy in, they're a part of it, anything can happen. And I mean, we were able to upset the number 2. I thought it was absolutely amazing. And at one point, I'm even shocked at some of the role players on Notre Dame's team, what they were bringing to the game on the defensive end and offensive end. It was just like everyone was locked in, and it was amazing. What did you think?
Yeah, I think it was a pivotal moment for Niele Ivey. I really think she put the game plan together. She had the strategy together. To a lot of your points, the team bought in and executed on it. And I just think that's huge for her tenure so far at Notre Dame, to make that elite game, to get past that Sweet 16 hump, and to do it against a very, very good Vandy team. Michaela Blakes is one of the best players in the country, but so is Hannah Hidalgo. Like, I think Hannah Hidalgo almost doesn't get enough credit for how good she is. And I think she showcased that the past couple of games here. She really put Notre Dame on her back. What she does defensively, how she dictates the tempo of the entire game is insane to me. And for me, she does it on both sides of the floor. Like, she can go down on the offensive end, drill the 3. She's got a mid-range game. She can get to the rack. She's a menace on the offensive end. And then on the defensive end, she's just everywhere. I mean, she's all over the place. If you're just standing there with the ball, she's going to be, for whatever reason, there in your face. Like, I just think she plays both sides of the floor better than anyone in the country. And I think that gets shadowed sometimes because Notre Dame wasn't one of these top seeds all year, like the UConns or the South Carolinas. So, they're not highlighted as much. And so I think she kind of fell in that shadow a little bit this year, whereas last year it was her and Olivia Miles, and Notre Dame at one point, halfway through the season, we were like, geez, Notre Dame has the best backcourt in the country. They should win this whole thing. Kind of fell apart. Fast forward to this year, it was really the Hannah Hidalgo show all year. And to me, it's amazing that with one solid player like that, and to your points, like, they had role players that stepped up and did what they needed to do from a role perspective to get there. But it was really, like, to me, like one player that got them to the Elite Eight game, which is kind of nuts.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think when you have a player that's that good and she understands the moment. I think that's the piece that Hannah understands the moment. And I'm going to be honest. I was watching this game and my husband was downstairs because I was screaming, because I just, even when she goes in and she gets a steal and goes down and maybe gets an and one, I'm like as hype as she is. The energy that she brings to the court, it's not that cocky swagger that some people have. It's like a confident, like consistent, just aggression and determination. And I got chills watching it. I got almost a little emotional because I was like, I wish I was playing with her. She's the type of player you want to play with because she's going to go out there and do whatever she needs to do to win. Therefore, it rubs off. It's contagious. And I think Hannah, obviously she's one of the best, period. Even Gino's saying it at this point. So she's one of the best, but I think she's not getting her flowers, to your point, that a lot of, like a Sarah Strong would, because the team as a whole wasn't as successful. But I really think this tourney run shocked a lot of people, shocked a lot of Irish fans, kind of gave them a bit more to buy in. And I just give so much kudos to the coaching staff and the team, because even alumni can get a little negative, like, dang, what is going on? Like, why don't we have players? Why are we losing? Why does it look weird? But when you're in that bubble of it's just us, and you know what you're doing and you know what you're working towards, I just really think they peaked at the right time for them. And honestly, now when you look at it, it's like, who cares how many games they lost during the season and to who? Upsetting Vandy, getting to the Elite Eight. This was the first time for Niele to get by the Sweet 16 game in her whole 5 years as a Notre Dame coach. Like, you heard them all saying, we got by the Sweet 16, we did it, because that was just such a monumental thing for her. And I give her all the kudos for sticking to a game plan, executing it, working to get better, and pulling off this awesome upset that I think isn't getting enough credit, because it's kind of like you move on so quick to the Elite Eight and now the Final Four. Looking back, I think this will be a bigger game than we all really realize.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it speaks volumes to the Vanderbilt team and the program that Shea Ralph has built, because they really did have an exceptional season. And I think come next year, if everyone stays and the transfer portal doesn't disrupt this like crazy, Vandy should be real good next year.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's
especially
crazy if they bring some people in too. I mean,
so will Notre Dame, right? With that with that incoming class. And this is the piece that I think excites me. Sorry to go back to Notre Dame, but like, when you make moves like this, recruits then want to come there. Transfers want to come there. You now become more marketable than you did maybe in the middle or earlier in the season when you saw who you had on the roster. So for people looking at Notre Dame, it's like, hey, I can go there and I can play. I'm not just going to go there, get promised something and sit the bench. And I can play, maybe give a longer leash, get some minutes, learn, and grow my game. So I agree with you on both Vandy's side and Notre Dame. I think these are two coaches who understand the game. They were a part of the game. They've been a part of the game for how long? And they're just creating their own way and their own style. And I love it. I'd want to play for either one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a couple other Sweet 16 games. We talked about number 1 UConn beating North Carolina. They win that game by 21 points. Kind of expected that one. UCLA beat number 4 Minnesota pretty handedly, 80-56. That one's kind of another boring one almost. By the second half, you were like, yeah, this one's over. But the other one that was an upset that was fun that happened during the Sweet 16, I thought, was the LSU game versus Duke. And they had played themselves earlier in the season, and Duke came out strong, and LSU came back and just was able to absolutely dominate the second half and win that one. But this one was really fun to see Duke come out strong again, but then ultimately come out on top. And I think it's huge for Kara Lawson and the program that she's built for Duke. I thought her post-game press conference after this was awesome. She talked about how, like, this is what I'm meant to do as a coach. Like, and I'm clicking on all cylinders because this is where I'm meant to be. I'm in my moment. I'm able to contribute because this is where I belong. And I just thought that was like so cool. Some of her comments, the confidence that she spoke with, and obviously her team buys into that. I just think she's a really good leader right now. And it's fun to see a Duke program back on the map. Back when we were playing, Duke was really good, right? Like, they were a contender. You had to take Duke seriously. And I think Kara Lawson, it's taken a few years, but she's built this Duke program back into an elite program. And I think it's fun when you see a Duke knock off a number 2 LSU in the Sweet 16.
Completely agree. I think Duke's another team that has kind of been a roller coaster all season long. Maybe the alums and the fans were like, what the heck's going on? But buying in, staying true to it, getting better and understanding their role and where they're at and where they want to go. I think props again to the head coach and their team to just sticking together and staying with it. You even saw a couple people after the game get very emotional, and just the fact of, no one thought we'd be here. We did it. And the way they did it with that last second shot was just, I mean, the ball went around the rim like 4 or 5 times. It almost like paused and then went in. So it was kind of, you were on the edge of your seats. I will say, press conference wise was interesting for Kim Mulkey, where I think she mentioned something like they played better. But when you look at the stats, like, fouls were pretty even. Turnovers were even at 11. Rebounds were even at 41 apiece. Duke shot worse than LSU did from the floor and the 3. The difference is Duke had 16 assists where LSU only had 8. So again, we know LSU as being that one-on-one type matchup for each player, right? They have Flage, they have Michaela. Like, they have all these players that can go one-on-one, where maybe that was the downfall of them this year and their ability to share the ball, where almost Duke for a while was oversharing so much no one would score early on in the season, right? So it's awesome to see where these two teams have gone and grown and kind of what was successful for them as it relates to the total game.
Yeah, I think LSU is missing that inside presence. I know Kate Caval transferred there, and they do have post players, but they were missing kind of the Anise Morrow. Remember her from last year? How good she was, right? Like they were missing that inside presence to me. I think all the players you mentioned like really bring a ton of strength in the 1 through the 3. So it's interesting to see how maybe Ken Mulkey balances that out. You're gonna have players that graduate, some transfer portal craziness, I'm sure, but like, can she bring in a solid post player? Historically, she likes to play that inside-outside game quite a bit. So I think that was kind of missing this year. And to your point, a lot of one-on-one ball. So, well, didn't get him past the Sweet 16 this year.
I'm not going to say I wasn't happy. Like I was like, I think I was more happy for Duke than I was that LSU lost. So let's be fair.
I agree. I was rooting for Duke as well. And then there were some other blowouts that happened in the Sweet 16, right? Becca highlighted them earlier. Michigan beat Louisville. Texas beats Kentucky. South Carolina beats Oklahoma. TCU beats Virginia. I think Oklahoma really, to me, had a down year this year. I thought they were almost a little bit worse than last year. Last year, I thought they were really good. They were coming on the scene. They've got a newer coach on the scene. They brought Chavez in this year. But it just seems like Oklahoma got worse and didn't really get better. And I was kind of disappointed in Reagan Beers a little bit this year because I thought she maybe could have turned the corner and almost been one of those contenders for the All-America team if she really got better. And I just feel like their whole style changed with Chavez. Like, what's your thoughts on Oklahoma?
I thought I saw announcers saying and the coach saying and everybody kind of sticking to get the ball inside. And it just didn't happen. It never happened. And when you have a player like Reagan Beers in there, let's not forget she transferred from Oregon State, right? So she's come there and now she's there a couple years. She's kind of, this is her team, I would assume, right? Like, I mean, I didn't pick anybody else. If somebody were to say Oklahoma, honestly, I wasn't saying Chavez at first, and I probably would have just said part of the supporting cast. But Chavez came in, and I'm not throwing all this shade at her. She's a great player. But I just think, and maybe this is the part that's hard in this day and age, I think Chavez has the ability to take and make great shots or bad decisions. It's those two extremes, right? She's either going to go off, come down and pull up a 3, knock it down, and she's hype. But those moments she's not, and she's coming down and forcing, there's that balance that she's still trying to figure out. She's a freshman. Absolutely. Like there's no like blueprint for this. You kind of have to figure it out within the flow of the game. But I just thought maybe they leaned on her too much to do her thing as opposed to the balance they had early on in the year as to the inside out game, right? If you're going to come down and take a 3, maybe get it inside to Reagan so that she can either kind of go to work inside first, get double teamed, and then get the kick out. Because, you have Peyton Verhulst on the outside, who's an amazing shooter and just guard in general. So I think it's disappointing. Obviously, South Carolina is a really tough team. I just expected them to be a bit closer, especially since Oklahoma beat South Carolina earlier on in the year. So disappointing end for Oklahoma. Probably not the way they wanted to go out, but that is the March and the madness.
There it is. All right, let's jump to our second quarter, the Elite Eight. And business was handled in this Elite Eight, that's for sure. So going to run through the scores and the games, and then we'll kind of circle back and highlight some of them here. Number 1, and there's going to be a theme with these number ones. Number 1, UConn beat number 6, Notre Dame 70-52. Number 1, Texas beat number 2, Michigan 77-41. Ouch. Number 1, UCLA beat number 3, Duke 70-58. Number 1, South Carolina beat number 3, TCU 78-52. Maybe all of these were some ouches, but the Michigan game speaks out to me. They just didn't even belong on the same court with Texas. And I don't think it's a Michigan problem. I think it was Texas coming out and being a true Texas team that we saw from the very beginning of the season. Like, to me, what stuck out the most out of all those Final Four games was how well Texas played from start to finish, offensively, defensively. And Michigan tried to throw a lot of trapping press at them. They tried to throw different defenses at them. They were in zones. They were in a full court press. They were all these different things. Texas was calm, cool, and collected. They beat everything Michigan threw at them, I thought, offensively. And heading into this one, I was like, man, I just know Vic Schaefer has like a game plan on offense on how to beat all of Michigan's defenses. And boy, did they. And you've got the Rory Harmons and the Bookers of the world who show up on offense then and just, they're really good. I'm hoping they can knock off a UConn. We'll see. They gotta win a game and then win the national championship. But to me, that was like the game that I thought stuck out the most. But what do you got? What do you think about these games that happened in the Elite Eight?
Honestly was upset, and it stinks for Notre Dame to lose to UConn, but UConn is UConn. They're rolling. They've been dominant all year. They have the roster to do so. I think Notre Dame, I think it shocked a lot of people that we only lost, by 18, not terrible, honestly, when you look at the other ones across the Elite Eight here. I agree with you fully. And I watched the Michigan presser post game, and Silas Swords was like, it is not our seniors' fault. It is not our coach's fault. It's our sophomore class and the fact that we needed to step up and we didn't handle business. So it's almost, she took this as you would hope any player would, as like a shot to the chest a little. And I think that's scary when you have Silas Swords, a freshman, going into a post-game presser talking about it's on me, it's on our class, it's us, because I think that is dangerous for the next couple years coming up. I also want to highlight, Michigan being part of the Big Ten, where you have, UCLA and USC, who's a bit down this year, right? Like it was UCLA that dominated that. Game in, game out in the Big Ten, they're not getting what Texas is getting in the SEC. They're not getting what South Carolina is. So I think for them, this level of intensity was maybe a bit like of a shocker, like an oh crap moment, but also Texas is that dang good right now. Defensively, offensively clicking. They're a menace. They're everywhere. So I absolutely love to see them. They're one of the picks that I've had for a while as to hoping they can pull off something and get this W, the whole thing, because I think it would be super earned. That is a good team in general. Everybody has their role. Even the 3 and the 4 come in and do their job, right? Like Carlson comes in. I just like how they play, and I like the vibe of the team. They're very wholesome. They're very together. And I hope they keep rolling.
It's going to be fun to watch some of these players mature. Next year, you'll have Hannah Hidalgo back for Notre Dame. UConn obviously is going to have the Sarah Strong, who probably will just even get better if she does what she did between last season and this season. And I'm excited for that Michigan team, to your point. I do think that sophomore class is one of the best classes at one particular school in the country, with Olivia there and Silo there. Those two in particular are just top-notch players. It's interesting, like Kim Mariko Barnes, like this is a big moment for her in her career also. Making that Elite Eight game and having to go up against a dominant force in Texas and Vic Schaefer. It's an interesting one. I was secretly like, hey, I hope this is a close game, because I think it would speak volumes for the Big Ten, to your point, and for Michigan, but Texas was just in a league of their own. All right, let's jump to the third quarter, that Final Four preview. And as we mentioned in the Elite Eight games, all number ones took care of business, and we're seeing UConn, Texas, UCLA, South Carolina for back-to-back years in the Final Four. The matchups are a little bit different, but it's the same 4 teams. And I think there's a lot going on there. We're going to read through a few things and our thoughts on it. But before we do that, Becca, high level, what are your thoughts on this year's Final Four teams?
I think it's who we kind of thought early on in the year. These 4 teams have been the top 5 all year long. I don't think UConn, I know UConn hasn't fallen out of the top 4. South Carolina might have for a game. Texas might have for a game, and UCLA didn't either. So these 4 have been in a league of their own the whole time. And I think they're just that much better. We've talked about that before too, right? Like the 5 through 10 are just way different. It's a way different. They're still good. It's just not the level of the 1 through 4.
Yep, I totally agree. And I'm a little disappointed. I think it's fun to have different teams there at the Final Four, especially going there in person and just being there for the whole weekend. But also, to your points, like these are the teams that have the best rosters. They have some of the best coaches in the country. Like look at the coaches of this. I mean, they're going to stand up there at that Final Four banquet before the Final Four kicks off, and you're going to have Corey Close, Gino Auriemma, Dawn Staley, and Vic Schaefer on the stage. Like those are, to me, four of the best right now. So it kind of makes sense, although I'm a little disappointed that it's the same because you want more parity, but it also like it makes sense. And there's a lot of articles going around right now also on how much money these schools are putting towards women's basketball. Anywhere between $9 and $12 million a season they're spending on women's basketball. Last year, it was highlighted that South Carolina was in the red and actually lost money because how much money they spent on coaching salaries, paying players.
Wow.
The whole thing, you know? So it's just really interesting to see what schools are really investing in women's basketball. I think it matters here because all four of these, they highlighted that they're really going hard at how much money they're giving these programs. So it's just an interesting tidbit because I think money's talking a little bit, but then I go back to they're also some of the best coaches. So
yeah,
I think it's like you have to have everything. You have to have the full package now to break into that Final Four.
Well, that's the way the game's going. I mean, the sport alone is you're paying players now pretty much at this point. So it's who has the better deal. So I like the fact that all four of these teams have been able to grow their game in that way. I know it was kind of a curveball for a lot of people. So if you don't play the game and understand it and kind of roll with it, you're going to be left out. Look, you're going to be on the outside looking in. So I completely agree. These four are good. I also like the fact that it's like 2 males, 2 females. I like the fact it's not as, dominant as maybe back in the day with Pat Summitt, or it would have been her and 3 males, or her and Tara Vanderbilt, right? Like, I like the fact that it's not all just male dominated, but that we're getting more female coaches that are kind of going the distance and understanding the game in that way, but also playing it almost better. So I'm a fan of that.
That's a good point. There's 4 teams now that are doing this year after year and not just 2. So that's good.
All right, let's jump into the first game of the Final Four, which will be in Phoenix, Arizona, Friday, today. The number 1 UConn will play number 1 South Carolina at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Now let's just high level this really quick. UConn's undefeated. South Carolina has lost to Texas twice and to Oklahoma. So they're coming in with 3 losses. This is the first time in 11 years South Carolina women's basketball has not played UConn in the regular season. South Carolina and UConn did not play because of a change in how the Big East Conference made its schedule. The conference opted to play 20 Big East games, making it harder for the UConn-South Carolina game to actually happen. UConn already had their contracts with Notre Dame and Tennessee that they had to follow through on. So that's interesting, right? This is the first time they'll meet this year. I think it's good for both teams in that regard of kind of the unknown. I mean, but you don't. And I think that will be very exciting. It's also going to be the 16th meeting between South Carolina coach Dawn Staley and Gino, and the 17th all-time meeting between the Gamecocks and the Huskies. South Carolina's 5-11 all-time against UConn. Not the best record, but I think these last couple seasons, and specifically this year, if there's a year to do it, it's this one. And obviously everybody's looking at UConn as a repeat champ. They're undefeated. They're dominant in every position. So come on, Dawn, right? Win one for the home team here. Let's get an upset. The last point that I wanted to add is from 2021 to 2024, South Carolina won 4 meetings in a row against UConn, including the 2022 national championship game. UConn won both games against South Carolina in the 2024-2025 season by 20 points or more. Dawn Staley was the first coach to ever beat Gino in a national championship game. And let's just, for all the bells and whistles of this, don't worry, folks. South Carolina and UConn will resume their contract and play in the regular season starting next year. A lot to unpack there. A lot of just history. We didn't even really get into the players because I think they're so good to go in and analyze each position. I think would be a lot. This is just more like high level of the series, the coaches. And again, it's highlighting if anybody can beat Gino in a game, I feel like it's Dawn.
Yeah. I mean, she beat Gino and UConn in that national championship game a couple years ago, right? Like, So this is the Final Four game. Why not do it in the Final Four?
I think Dawn will have her team really riled up, really focused in. Raven Johnson will be leading the pack here. I think that's going to be kind of the go-to, right? I find it funny because Raven Johnson to me as a person, just as a personality, seems really like funny, maybe a little flaky, but she seems to be able to turn it on when she has to. And I think that's what Dawn really likes about her. They have a really good relationship. I've seen this in the post and pregame pressers. But I love the fact that when they lost this year, I think she was quoted as saying, like, we don't share SEC titles. We don't share things. We don't like to lose, even just teaching her new players on the team this year. So when you have a leader that's like that, a little cutthroat, a little understanding of the moment, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, totally. I think Joyce Edwards to me will be the X factor. When you've got to think, when South Carolina plays well, Joyce is playing well, and she's bringing it on both ends of the floor. And from a matchup perspective, like, she's got to shut down Sarah Strong, especially down low. Sarah Strong can do it all, right? She can knock down the 3-pointer. She's very Candace Parker-esque, where she can pretty much do it all. But Joyce Edwards really has to contain her down low. And if she can shut down her down low game and frustrate her a little bit, I think they have a chance. If Joyce Edwards isn't doing those type things, and you're not shutting down Sarah Strong, and then AZ Fudd's getting involved, and it's a kind of that ripple effect, then UConn could win it by 20. You know, like, I can see this going. It's either going to be really tight and South Carolina is going to win in the last minute of the game, or UConn rolls through. And I'm hoping it's the latter. I'm hoping South Carolina comes ready to play, because I think right now, UConn could do it all. They're going to have to, hopefully, I think Texas needs to beat UCLA. Maybe we jump into that one, and then we can kind of give our thoughts on who we think is going to win this thing.
Absolutely.
So let's do it. Following the UConn South Carolina game, number 1 UCLA will play number 1 Texas at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. So UCLA and Texas are both back in the Final Four for the second consecutive year, which I think is really cool for both those programs, especially UCLA. And both teams are hoping to go at least one step further after the Bruins and the Longhorns were bounced out in the Final Four 2025 semifinals. These two met earlier in the season during the Thanksgiving tournament on November 26th, which seems like a decade ago.
Forever.
It does. Like, the whole season has happened pretty much since then, where Texas beat UCLA 76-65. Rory Harmon put on a clinic. She had 26 points and 5 assists. Kiki Rice, there's that matchup, right? Like, she needs to shut down Rory Harmon if UCLA is going to stand a chance there. Good matchups in this game for sure. Texas, who is coming into this one 35-3, is seeking the first berth in the national championship game since 1986, when the Longhorns went 34-0 en route to their lone national title. Shout out Jody Conrad, who was like an amazing coach back then. UCLA 35-1 will be trying to reach the NCAA women's basketball title game for the first time in school history, which is kind of crazy when you think about the men and John Wooden over on the UCLA side, how many national championships he won. So it would be a huge feat for UCLA on the women's side. Though the Bruins did win the 1978 AIAW championship in the pre-NCAA era for the women, which we're going to say that doesn't count, but
yep.
Could be a huge milestone here for both programs, really. And one of these teams is going to make that national championship game. It's just, to me, I think now it comes down to these matchups and who can shut down who the most, because there are so many good players that are going to be on the floor in these two games on Friday night, that if you like sports, you want to tune into this, because these girls are competitors. Their coaches are competitors. It's just sports at its finest. I was kind of getting into it a little bit. I think UConn might have the edge on South Carolina, although I'm pulling for South Carolina. I think Dawn can do it. We know she can. And then I think Texas has the edge on UCLA. If what I think will happen is, I think it'll be UConn, Texas in the national championship game. And then honestly, I think it's a toss-up. I really do. It's going to be who comes out and executes and is playing their A game and has an on day and not an off day. If any of these teams have an off day on Friday or Sunday, it's over, because the team that they're playing is so good. What are your thoughts?
So being a former Notre Damer, I'm never going to rule or root for UConn. So I'm going to root for South Carolina and the fact that they can pull this upset off. I think UConn is so good. They're good. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying I really want South Carolina to pull this off. Dawn's done it before. She can do it again. All the props, good vibes to the Gamecocks for this win. Then the second game, I'm also going to roll with Texas because I think UCLA has kind of struggled here a bit off and on. It not in the sense of they lose a game. Obviously, they haven't. It's just they don't feel like they're gelling. It feels like it's harder for them to score. Lauren Betts seems like she's kind of getting frustrated because defense is changing because she's a target, right? So I'm going to roll with Texas to bring that amazing defense to lock up UCLA and have it be a South Carolina-Texas final. And then I'm going to go with Texas, even though Texas has beat South Carolina twice, and it's really hard to beat a team 3 times, but I'm going to roll with Texas just because of how bought in they are, locked in. They've done it before. This is their moment. Get that championship. Get a natty.
It would really solidify Booker's career to me.
Yeah.
Like, because they've done it all, right? Texas. I mean, they've won the SEC championships. She's been SEC Player of the Year. She's an All-American, blah, blah, blah. I like for her having a national championship, I think just makes her one of those elite players in the history of our game because Booker is so good. When you watch her mid-range game is just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's money.
It is money. So it would be, I'm hoping Texas wins the whole thing also. I just think it'd be an absolute cherry on the top of a great season and a really, really good team this year.
For sure. Let's jump to the fourth quarter where this is a really quick quarter. I think it's just important. We're calling this our freestyle. Tourney Town is what happens at the Final Four. There's a lot of events, a lot of activities. It's just an overall good time. I've been there from a player's perspective or an alumni going back to support their team. But what I absolutely love about Sid is she kind of makes it a family vacation because one, it's basketball, it's great basketball, but it's also just a great time. Overall events, they lock in every year to make sure that, she can take her kids and her family goes. They really enjoy it. So Sid, I just wanted to toss it up to you to see if nobody's ever been to Tourney Town, what is it like? And what do you enjoy about it?
Yeah, this will be the third Final Four in a row that we're going. So my kids are 3 and 2. They're going at 100% here, hitting all the Final Fours, which is kind of fun.
Adorable.
We love it, and we go with my in-laws. My mother-in-law and father-in-law usually come, and it's such a great event all weekend. I think they do such a fantastic job on the women's side. I can't speak for the men's side. I've never been to a men's Final Four. Might be the same. I have no idea. But on the women's side, it's Tourney Town, and you get there, and they pretty much shut down whatever downtown area you're in. There's usually whatever city they pick, a conference center nearby. And then you've got obviously the arena, and it's great cities. I think it was in Cleveland 3 years ago. Then last year it was in Tampa. And then this year it's in Phoenix. Next year it's in Columbus, Ohio, and then Indianapolis. And then I think, oh man, don't quote me on this, but I think San Antonio. So they pick really, I think, good approachable cities. It's not downtown Manhattan or even Chicago, some of these bigger cities. It's approachable cities. You can get hotels, but the Tourney Town piece of it is so much fun. All day Saturday, they usually run out that conference center, and they have a whole bunch of games and different events going on throughout the day at Tourney Town in that conference center, and it's kid friendly. All the way up to adults that are doing shooting games, and it's so much fun. And my kids really love it. They also do a thing called the Bounce, which is awesome. They do it in every city that we've been in for the Final Four, but every kid gets a t-shirt and a free basketball, and you dribble through the streets. They shut down the streets, and it's just so cool. You see a slew of kids just dribbling down the streets. And
gosh.
They shut down the streets for an hour and a half, and they let the kids just walk. And usually it's I would say 3/4 of a mile. It's kind of a long walk, but then they get a basketball and a t-shirt, and it's just a fun family event. They have live DJs playing, and it's just very positive. And I think it's great for our game. It brings out the local people in the city that come, and then also the people that fly in or travel in for the games. And they just really make it a full weekend from start to finish with these different events that are going on. So I highly recommend it. Usually it's around spring break time, so you can kind of book travel before or after if you want to. Like we're going to be in Scottsdale the whole following week, just actually vacationing. So it's a fun way to bounce around the country and go to different cities, and it's kid friendly too if you've got kids. So look at me, I sound like I'm like a NCAA women's basketball spokesperson over here. But Final Four, here we go.
I love it. I think it sounds
fun.
like a blast. I love the fact that you guys always go and then you kind of piggy it back off with like an overall vacation to kind of chill and unwind. But how fun is it that you get to go to the games and then kind of experience it? And that's something your kids are going to remember. The bounce, I think that's awesome. I didn't know they did that. Please get a video.
Yeah, I will.
You got to see this.
Yeah, it is so much fun. I recommend it. And the games are also awesome, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I love that part of it too, but my kids are at the age now where they're like into the games, and my daughter loves the cheerleaders, and like, it's like, it's just, it's fun. And it's some of the best basketball on the women's side to watch this weekend. I mean, 3 games that are just usually top-notch games. So it's great. Final Four weekend is my favorite. So, and shout out to my mother and father-in-law who tag along with us, and they're making it an annual event too. So they get to spend time with us and the grandkids, and truly becomes a family-friendly weekend. So maybe awesome. Becca, Notre Dame will be there next year.
Yep.
We'll go to Columbus.
Michael and I will roll in there. We can get adjoining rooms.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, Columbus and Indy are the next 2. Really close. So you should just plan on going anyways.
I know, right? I know. Well, I'll have to probably for content for the podcast regardless. So I think that should happen anyway.
We got to get our press credentials and be officially a part of the media. That's maybe our goal for next year.
That would be so fun. You did talk about that one year. So shoot for the stars. Let's roll.
Let's roll. All right. So Final Four weekend, enjoy the games, and we'll be back for a final episode once season wraps up here, but really appreciate everyone tuning in and enjoy the games this weekend.
Yes. Check them out. Watch them. They're going to be the 4 best of the best playing each other. So the games will be hopefully the best. I'm going to be sending a text message to all of our AAU girls. I feel like they should be watching these. These are the best games of all time to be watching right now within this point of the year. So they need to lock in.
That's 100% the truth. I think they should be too. We all know that maybe half of them will, but here's hoping.
It's true. Right. Exactly. All right. Well, thanks, Sid. Great episode. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate you. And we'll follow back up here in maybe a couple weeks just for our final buzzer. So appreciate everybody. And thanks, Sid.
Yep. Thanks, Beck. Talk soon.
See ya. That's the 28.5 final buzzer for today's episode. Don't forget to hit follow and download on your preferred podcast platform to catch every play-by-play. New episodes drop each week throughout the season.
If you've enjoyed our courtside chat, drop us a review or follow us on our social media accounts where you can send us questions that may be selected for our Team Huddle Q&A episodes. And remember, from females who have played the game, the size of the ball matters.